Hello, sorry about that. Had to go and answer my door. It was my new phone, HTC Touch, which has just arrived, so I'm quite excited about that. Um, anyway, where was I? Stuart Rixon. Yes, pint-sized and full of shit. Sorry, didn't dare say a thing like that. Anyway, so Thursday of November, I was in the local shopping centre Devizes Safeway when a figure sidled up to me. "How's the magazine doing?" he asked, in reference to the Seeker. In fact, it was Matthew Williams mentioned in the above report, and one of this publication's first buyers. Bullshit. He had arrived at my front door the day the first advertisements for the Seeker had appeared. When I asked how he had found my flat when the address was not in the advert, only a P.O. box number, he replied cryptically that "there are ways to find out, you know." Okay. Well, I also then apparently said it's a really good little publication, you know, and which I probably would have said, because I can, tell that the guy's got a rather fragile sort of fragile brain, and I didn't want to freak him out anymore, considering he already thought I was from MI5, MI6. But this is the best bit, you see, because I've already told you in the last bit that when I came to his house, he thought I was from somebody had sent me, and I think he actually said something like the security services. When I visited him at his house, he said, "Oh, you've been sent to the security services," and I was like, "No, no, 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 no! I've just come to talk to you about your magazine." So anyway, he said, I thanked him and explained that we plan to go online with material from earlier issues. Not exactly news headlines news, but real news that everybody needs to know, and which the mainstream media seemed intent on ignoring. I concluded by saying that someone who was interested in what was really going on would probably be interested in the Seeker, and then just carried on shopping. So, however, something I said obviously had given Matthew some pause for thought. I used to run a conspiracy magazine called The Truth Seeker, Truth Seeker's Review. I used to run a magazine called Truth Seeker. I used to do a conspiracy magazine. I used to investigate UFOs. I have been on television many times. I have been on radio programs many times talking about conspiracies, talking about UFOs. But then he has to tell me that, things that are going to be in his magazine would be interest to a Truth Seeker. Well, I bloody well know that, because I had a copy of the magazine, don't I? So, I mean, you can see the type of mentality of the person. He's telling a conspiracy researcher that he might really be better off reading his magazine because it would be of interest to him because it contains conspiracies. Anyway, right, okay, this is the best thing. However, something I said obviously had given Matthew some pause for thought. As I stood in line at the checkout, he came behind me and said quietly, almost in passing, "I'm not really part of MI5 or MI6. That's me telling him. And he then goes on to say, which seemed a bit strange because I didn't think that he was an MI6 agent. I suspected maybe these agencies used him every now and again to do their bidding. Why? Thus making plausible denials seem even more convincing. It's a standard in covert operation where outsiders, either individuals or agencies, work under contract, consequently making it all the more difficult to establish who the real perpetrators are. Even stranger was the fact that I told nobody about my suspicions, only a trusted friend over the phone. So either Matthew was a mind reader, or else he had access to transcripts of my telephone conversations. Either way, I wasn't particularly worried, so I bid him farewell and made out of the supermarket, leaving the checkout girl looking bewildered and not realizing myself that Matthew would be arrested within the hour. Now, this guy is full of shit. As I already told you, he had stated to me when I went to his house that he thought I'd been sent to his house by the security services. So he was implying MI5 or MI6. And when I saw him in the supermarket and I actually said to him, I'm really not MI5 or MI6, he goes to himself, "Oh my God, why is he saying he's MI5, MI6? Doesn't he even remember what he said when I came to his house? Doesn't he even remember his paranoid behaviour where he went like a robot and started walking in a very strange fashion, like as if he'd been captured, like a captured animal, you know. And then for me to actually say, look, I'd rather reassure you, I'm not really MI5 or MI6. And he said, oh, well, that's obviously confirmation that he is. And how would he know that I had even thought these things? Because he's got a bad memory, obviously, because it's, of his accident or something, I would imagine. But this type of paranoia that I get from people, that I work for MI5 or MI6. I mean, I don't think so. I mean, they don't want people like me because I'm too much bloody trouble. I used to work for Customs and Excise, and I got the boot working for them because I'm not a conformist basically, and I didn't follow the departmental rules. I didn't like the departmental rules, and I was investigating UFOs and doing magazine work and things like this, and I think my employers found it a bit of an embarrassment, and somebody somewhere must have said, get rid of this man. Now, I don't think somebody like me that's been sacked from working in a job like Customs and Excise would then be classed as trusted material to go and work for the security services, who by all accounts are very paranoid about who they employ. I'd shown myself to be union active, that I was involved in trying to clean up some of the bad practices within the department and some of the bad ways that some people had been employed into Customs and Excise, jumping the queue and not even going for interviews in some cases, and then jumping the promotion ladder. I'd reported these things to the union and tried to get them dealt with. Can you imagine somebody who has a conscience like myself, who actually has a conscience about what they're doing and actually has some morals, so much so that they would go and report these things to their union and become active to try and clean up bad things that are going on like that? Eventually all of these things caught me up and made me lose my job. Now, do you think they're going to employ somebody like me in the security services? If I saw something I didn't like in there, do you think I'm going to keep my mouth shut? I'm going to be classic whistleblower material, aren't I? I'm going to be the type of person, I write for magazines, I go on the radio, I'm a public known person, for exposing secrets, and they're going to employ me. But that's just my double agent cover, of course, because in the strange world of people like Stuart Rixon, probably, that would be my cover, is that I do things like this, so that I could cover up the big stories when they really happen. But anyway, he then goes on to say that I was present at the Wiltshire Crop Circle Study Group meeting in Devizes, and I was ejected. It says, what was it? Once police had been called and promptly removed Matthew Williams and his friends from the conference for refusing to pay their entrance fees, which is complete bullshit. I'll come to this in another one because I'm going to do a Pricks and Stalkers about Francine Blake. But basically, I came to the Devizes conference with a few friends. We asked somebody who I didn't know at the time was actually Francine Blake's husband, John Blake. So we got out. I literally got out of my car and I said, "Excuse me, which way is the entrance to the Crop Circle conference?" And John Blake pointed directly to a door that was next to my car. And I went, "Okay, thank you very much." And this door was open, and I went in through this door, and all the doors inside that door were locked. So I was like, "Oh, that's strange." Okay, so we turned around and we came back in through the main door, and we actually paid for our tickets, went in, and then we had the organisers come up to us, and they said, "You'll have to leave. You have to leave now." And anyway, we've called the police. I said, "Well, hang on a minute. That's a bit premature, isn't it? You're asking us to leave, but you've already called the police." And they're like, yes, so you must leave. And I said, "Well, I'll finish my cup of tea first and then I'll leave." So anyway, the police arrived quite quickly, and they said, "Would you leave?" And I said, "Yes, I would, but I was just drinking my cup of tea and I've paid for my tickets, so what the hell's going on?" And they said, "Well, here's your ticket money back, and if you'd now leave, that will be fine." And then the organiser of this conference went and put a story around that we'd tried to sneak in without paying round the back of the building. Anyway, the police are evidence of the fact that we got given our money back. So, Stuart Rixon, you're full of shit. Francine Blake, you're a liar, and you promoted that lie to the whole of your conference. So,